Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Let's go over the 6-game NBA slate for today on DraftKings. But before we continue, as always, if you guys could just leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Really helps me out, really appreciate it. You also follow me on Twitter. I'm at ChrisPennell16. That's in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, so you know how to spell it. And if for some reason you want to follow me on Instagram, not a lot of whole interesting stuff going on over there, but I'm still at CPenn16 if you're interested. And if you want access to my Patreon exclusive content that I put out every single night or every single day, whatever you want to call it, links in the description below for my Patreon. And if you have no idea how Patreon works, I will show you really quick. So if you happen to hit the link in the description below, it'll take you to a page that looks like this. And it's as simple as this. Say if you want access to my NBA content that I put out every single day, you head over to the NBA Premium membership right here and you press select. I got everything listed, what you get. You get my projections that I put out, updated all the way up until lock, my cheat sheet, my data sheet, my core plays, my defense versus position chart, my Discord chat. As you can see, it includes Discord benefits. You just press select and you sign up. It's as easy as that, and then you'll get access to the link available to my Google Sheet that I use every single day and my Discord chat as well. And I have NASCAR that's coming up soon. NFL, that's obviously pretty much in the dust right now because the season's over. Then I do MLB when that comes out in the spring. And then I have my All Sports Access, which is actually the most popular as of right now. You get access to everything, save a couple bucks. So if you're interested, like I said, this is available in the link in the description below. And let's get into today's slate. So let me head back over to the NBA sheet and let me just fix this right up. So we're all aligned and we are good to go. So, just since we like to go in early fashion here, we're going to start up top with James Harden. And if you're new to the channel, this is not the entire player pool on tonight's slate. This is just a handful of players that I took out of the entire player pool and some like first early look interests that I have on this slate. Again, it can change drastically because as you guys know, my last video, if you watched yesterday's video, I had Giannis on there, and obviously he got rolled out, so that made all of the Bucks players tremendous plays. Like Chris Middleton was an elite play, Ersan Ilyasova, Eric Bledsoe, Brook Lopez, all became elite plays. And actually last night was crazy. I mean, I went with the full Bucks stack as pretty much everyone else did, and then I ran it back with Bradley Beal. They all ended up smashing. Brook Lopez did okay, but everyone else, I mean, Chris Middleton had 72 fantasy points, Eric Bledsoe, I want to say, had 60. Bradley Beal had almost 60. It was just a very, very high-scoring night. I was at 334, and I was actually cashing all my double-ups. Like, past 2 days, I've been towing the line. It sucks. I hate towing the line like this. So yesterday, I just missed. So today, I was in the cash line. I mean, it was pretty close because everyone had the same lineup pretty much. But, man, I was, cashing all my double-ups. And then Dante DiVincenzo, he hits 2 threes in a row randomly at the end of the game. He didn't knock me out of the cash line, but I was like, some games I was like half losing money, and some games I was like half winning money, so it was kind of like a wash kind of night. Just those 2 threes at the end really screwed me. It was very upsetting. But either way, that was last night's slate. Hope you guys had put out a good lineup and had a good day. But anyway, let's get into today's slate. So James Harden, he's at 10,600, and there's no totals out yet. So I'm actually making this video a little bit earlier than I usually do, but there's no totals out yet. I actually think the Memphis game has a total as of right now. I think it's at 224, but I couldn't get anything else to load, so I just pretty much left all the totals off on this slate. But if I had to guess, this Houston-Portland game should be the highest total on the slate. Lots and lots and lots of great fantasy options here. A lot of studs, a lot of stars, a lot of good mid-range options. And both teams are not that great defensively, and both teams play pretty fast. So this should be a pretty good game for fantasy purposes. Now, James Harden, he's not a lock to play. He is questionable as of right now, but if he's good to go, 10,600 for James Harden is pretty enticing. Now, I know he's not been playing well that recently, and Russell Westbrook, he's kind of actually taken a backseat to Russell Westbrook, and he's not been shooting the ball well recently either. But 10,600 for a guy like James Harden, I mean, I'm pretty interested, and this is an elite matchup versus Portland. And as you can see, if we head over to the pace column, Houston's 3rd in pace of play, and Portland is 12th. So both teams are top 12 in pace of play. So this should be a pretty back and forth game. And if we head over to the DVP chart, Houston whoops, let me make sure my green screen's still up. Yeah. So Houston ranks, I believe, 5th worst, if I'm reading that correctly off the top of my head, and not off the top of my head, but just glancing at it. And then Portland is 6th worst. So both teams are bottom 6 defensively, and Portland is pretty bad versus guards. They rank 16th versus shooting guards, 25th versus point guards, and this is going to be a plus matchup. I mean, CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard defense does not scare me too much. So my dog is growling at me, so let me just take care of that really quick. Okay, I'm back. Had to take him out, go to the bathroom. So I am back. I forget exactly where I left off, but I think I was talking about how bad both teams were defensively. And James Harden, below 11K, always have interest. He's been above 11K for quite a while now. And if you just look at his numbers on the season, he's at 1.62 points per minute. He's at a 37.2% usage rate. Can't really argue these numbers. It's a really nice price tag. If I had to imagine, this game should have over a 230 total, maybe even close to 240. So lots of interest here. He's going to play all the minutes he can handle as long as he's good to go. So James Harden definitely on my radar as top spend up of the night. Damian Lillard. So I don't want to play Damian Lillard at 10,500, but I figured I could not leave him off this initial look player pool just because of how good he has been. That's really the only reason I put him on here, because I do want to talk about how good he's been. I mean, I believe he had a 72-point game last time out. Then he had that near 90-point game. Or no, I think he did get 92 fantasy points if I remember correctly. Then he had, an 80-point game? Either way, he's been balling out. I know he's had 3 straight games of above 60 fantasy points. So, guy's been straight balling out. Now, I would expect that to regress soon, but the guy's on absolute fire. So, sometimes you gotta stay in the flames. Now, I'm not expecting him to get another 60-plus fantasy points, but it would not surprise me with the way he's been playing recently. And I definitely want exposure to this game. I think you should probably get at least one of these top-end studs from this game in, just depending on the value plays we have on this slate. If we don't have a lot of great value plays, you might want to pass, but I mean, I think it's probably you should be able to at least get one of these guys in. It's usually not that hard to afford at least one of them. And Damian Lillard, I'd expect him to be a little bit lower owned than either Westbrook or James Harden, depending on the status of James Harden, I should say. If James Harden happens to be out, I'd much rather play Russell Westbrook over Damian Lillard. But on the season, Damian Lillard, obviously he's been pretty fantastic. 1.32 points per minute, playing all the minutes he can handle. Got him for 37 minutes as of right now. Got near 30% usage rate. And again, he's in great recent form, which I do like to see. And it's a pace-up spot for the Trailblazers here, as Houston is 3rd in pace of play and Portland is 12th. And if you look at the DVP chart, Houston ranks 22nd versus point guards. So this is a very, very good matchup for Damian Lillard. And I think you can certainly look his way in GPPs. I'm not sure if I'm going to get there in cash games, just because I think I'd rather play one of the Rockets studs and then get some of the more secondary options. I mean, the secondary options on the Blazers really aren't secondary options. They're very good players, but they're secondary options to Damian Lillard. So I'd much rather play the top-end stud for the Rockets, and then I'd probably play a guy like Whiteside or Melo or CJ McCollum rather than Damian Lillard. But Lillard is on my GP radar. Russell Westbrook, he could potentially be the best spin up on the slate, depending on the James Harden news, because you guys know the drill. If one of the top end studs for the Rockets is out, you play the other guy. It's kind of like for the Lakers. If Anthony Davis is out, you play LeBron. If LeBron happens to be out, you play Anthony Davis. It's as simple as that. And the same goes for Russell Westbrook and James Harden. With James Harden off the court this season, Russell Westbrook's at a 1.8 point per minute rate and a 40.9% usage rate. Those are some of the best numbers in the NBA, and Russell Westbrook playing alongside James Harden recently has been absolutely dominating. He's had multiple games of over 60 points, had a 70-point game thrown in there as well, coming off a real-life 32-point game versus the Nuggets, and the guy's been straight balling, and he's been the better play over James Harden. So if they're both healthy and good to go, I think it's actually a pretty tough decision between James Harden and Russell Westbrook, because your brain's telling you to play James Harden over Russell Westbrook, and I'd probably see myself playing Harden over Westbrook, but the way they've been playing recently, James Harden has not been playing that great, and Russell Westbrook's been an absolute stud. So if you want to play Westbrook, you could. He'd probably be a little bit lower owned just because people are going to flock to Harden, and I get it. I mean, I would say probably Harden's the better play between the two, but just from recent form, it's Russell Westbrook. But this is a great matchup versus Portland. If you look at their numbers, well, I didn't stop this, did I? Oh no, I just got an update from OBS, so we're good. But if you look at the numbers, Portland, they rank 25th versus point guards. And then on the season, Russell Westbrook's at 1.39 points per minute, which is great. And then a 33.6% usage rate. And he's averaging over 35 minutes per game. You got him projected for 36 minutes here. Good matchup. And on the season, he's averaging, he's a triple-double threat every single night, averaging 26 real-life points per game, 7.4 assists, 8.1 rebounds. So definitely like Russell Westbrook here at 10,400. If everyone's healthy on the Rockets, he should be a lower owned than he should, and he would be a pretty good option in GPPs. Andre Drummond, he is questionable, and he comes in at 9,700. Now, if he's good to go, I love him versus Brooklyn, and honestly, I wouldn't mind if you played Drummond over any of these other guys, just because you're saving a couple bucks from Westbrook, Lillard, and James Harden. And this is a pretty good spot here versus Brooklyn. It's going to be a pace-up spot here for the Pistons. Pistons play 19th pace of play on the season, so they're not the slowest team in the world, but they're below mid-pack, and Brooklyn is 6th in pace of play, so I was like getting guys in pace-up spots here. And Andre Drummond, he's a 20-20 threat every single time he's on the court. Now, he sucked. He absolutely sucked in the last game versus Cleveland. Yeah, it was versus Cleveland. Pistons ended up blowing them out, the Pistons were blowing them out for it. It was either the Cavs got blown out or the Pistons got blown out. Either way, it wasn't good for one of the teams. But he did not see a full run in this game, and he was not playing well. He had a really hot start. I believe he had close to 20 fantasy points in the first quarter. Ended the game with a little bit over 30. Did not have a great game. It was looking like he was going to Smash City, but did not end up being the case. But it's a good spot versus Brooklyn. Now, they're actually an okay defensive team, but they struggle versus two spots, and that is point guards and versus centers. And as you can see, Brooklyn ranks 28th versus big men. So I love this spot here for Andre Drummond. And on the season, he's at 1.4 points per minute. He's got a 24.8% usage rate. 20-20 threat every single time he's on the court. On the season, he's averaging 17 points and 15.6 rebounds. So Andre Drummond, I think he's a very solid play below 10K as long as he's good to go. If he's not good to go, we're going to give bumps to guys like Derrick Rose and Christian Wood, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Sabonis, so he comes in at 9,400, and he's coming off a smash game versus Phoenix. Now, he is priced up, so I only have interest in Sabonis. If Miles Turner is out and Malcolm Brogdon's out, if they're both in, I'm going to pass on Sabonis, but they're both questionable, and if they miss, his numbers are pretty darn good. With both of those guys off the court, he's at 1.37 points per minute with a 25.6% usage rate, and we all know we want to attack big men versus Chicago. They are the worst team in the league versus big men. If we head over to our DVP chart, they rank, you're going to see bright greens here, if it loads. So right here, if you can see the blue box, I'm highlighting it. Chicago ranks 30th versus power forwards and 30th versus centers. They're awful at rebounding. I mean, Sabonis would have close to 20-20 upside here, and we know the guy does pretty much everything in the stat sheet. I believe he had a triple-double in that last game. Absolutely smashed. So Sabonis, he'd be a very, very solid play. Now, I don't like the price tag at 9,400. He's more of like a mid 8K kind of guy, or at least upper 8K, mid to upper 8K kind of player. 9,400 is pushing it a little bit. They gave him that price jump just from how good he was. And also Victor Oladipo is going to be back for this game. Now he's going to be on a minutes limit, so we're going to have to see if that plays into effect. So it might hurt Sabonis a little bit, but still think he'd be an interesting GPP option. Now, I always say he's a really safe cash game play every single night because you know you're going to get 40 plus points out of the guy, but he's usually a little bit cheaper than this. So 9,400, you're kind of just making him a staple of your lineup. So you're going to have to think about it a little bit, but the matchup, you couldn't get any better versus Chicago. So certainly on my radar. Kyrie Irving going up against Detroit. I believe it was the last time he played Detroit. Because that's Derrick Rose, went coast to coast and took it to overtime. Kyrie Irving, he absolutely balled out in that game. Had close to 50 real life points. I don't remember if he actually ended up hitting it, but he went absolutely nuclear. He was much cheaper. I believe he was 8,100 in that game. Now he's up to 9,100, but been playing pretty well, at least from the last game. And it's a good matchup versus Detroit. Now they play a little bit slow, but Brooklyn should look to push the pace here. And Detroit is 10th versus point guards, 19th versus shooting guards. I mean, they're actually okay versus point guards, but nothing I'm too scared of. We've seen opposing guards have very good games versus Detroit all season, and most recently Kyrie Irving in the same exact matchup. So I don't really see what would change here. So you got to have interest in Kyrie Irving. If you look at his numbers on the season, he's at 1.44 points per minute, 32.6% usage rate. Honestly, I think he should be a little bit more expensive. If he was close to 10K on this slate, it wouldn't have surprised me. So 9,100 is really not that bad of a price tag for Kyrie Irving. So certainly on my radar, I like the matchup versus Detroit. And there's a lot of good pieces in this game, so I don't mind game stacking it either. Hassan Whiteside, he comes in at 8,500, and this is a very good price in my opinion. Now the matchup, Houston's a really bad defensive team, but they're actually okay versus one spot, and it's versus centers. But Clint Capella is questionable for this game, so if Clint Capella happens to be out, we can give Hassan Whiteside even more of a boost. But as you can see, Houston, 22nd versus point guards, 27th, 25th, 28th, then versus centers, they rank 10th. Not that bad, but if Clint Capella's out, it softens them up even more. Even if Clint Capella's in, I think Hassan Whiteside will still be fine here. We know the guy's got 20-20 upside every single time he's on the court. He's got 60 plus fantasy point upside as well. He can rack up the blocks. Should be a pretty fast-paced game. I assume this is going to have the highest total on the slate. Not out yet, like I said, it's an assumption, which I think it's a pretty fair assumption. Portland versus Houston. Only thing else I could see being close would be, New York. Memphis is at 224. I mean, might be the second highest, maybe Detroit, Brooklyn. But other than that, I mean, I think this is the pretty clear top game of the slate. And Hassan Whiteside, he's elite on a point per minute basis. He's at 1.32 points per minute, 19% usage rate, but he's a center, so I really don't expect too much usage rate off Hassan Whiteside. But he's going to play mid-30s minutes as long as this game's competitive. I got him projected for 33 as of right now. I think it's a little bit conservative. I think he can, there's upside for more, certainly. He's played up to 38 minutes before in the season, and he's really going to point per minute basis. He racks up the blocks. So Hassan Whiteside's certainly on my radar. Definitely want exposure to this game. Nice pace-up spot versus Portland, and Houston's a very poor defense. DeMar DeRozan, so this is only because LaMarcus Aldridge is out. He's fresh off a 50-plus point outing versus actually a pretty tough matchup versus Chicago. They're pretty good versus opposing guards. Suck versus big men, but with LaMarcus Aldridge off the court, I have it written down. DeMar DeRozan has a 33% usage rate and is at 1.25 points per minute. That's pretty darn good. Now, the matchup versus Utah is not a good one. They're one of the best defensive teams in the NBA, and they also play extremely slow. But I figured since LaMarcus Aldridge is out, I'd have to mention DeMar DeRozan. Now, he's probably on the outside looking in to actually make my main lineup, especially 8,400 in a matchup versus Utah. But the guy's been playing very, very well recently. He's been pretty consistent at 40-plus points every single night with a couple of 50-point games splashed in there as well. So DeMar DeRozan should be on your radar just because of LaMarcus Aldridge being out. Julius Randle, he gets a great matchup versus Memphis. We just saw Jokic drop 50-plus points versus them. It was looking like Jokic was actually going to bust last night, but he ended up getting there. I don't think he got the fire symbol, but he still had a pretty decent game. He finished strong. Julius Randle, though, he's been pretty solid. He's kind of like Sabonis. He's not as safe as Sabonis, but he's been pretty much a safe bet for 35-plus points every single night, and we get a great matchup here versus Memphis. New York, they play pretty slow. They are at the 19th pace of play team, and Memphis is 8th in pace of play. So you get a nice pace-up spot here, and they're one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA. As you can see, they rank right below Portland, which I believe is 7th, if I'm reading this right. Yeah, 9 minus 2 would be 7. So, yeah, they're the 7th worst defensive team in the NBA. They rank 18th versus power forwards, 24th versus center. So this is a great spot for Julius Randle. He's got 50-plus fantasy point upside. And on the season, he's at 1.14 points per minute, near 28% usage rate. I like this spot for Julius Randle. Certainly had some interest here. And right below him, we got Clint Capella. So he's questionable for this game. If he's good to go, Portland sucks versus big men. So you could certainly look his way. The guy's got 60-point ceiling. Now, it's a little concerning that he is questionable. But if you look, Portland does rank 25th versus centers. And Clint Capella, I mean, he flashes upside. He's capable of down games, but the guy's got major upside. And I love the spot here. It's got a good matchup versus Portland. Should be the highest implied team not the highest implied team total, the highest over under on the slate. And it's both teams play pretty fast. And on the season, he's at 1.15 points per minute, which is pretty darn good. And if you take James Harden off the court, those numbers would rise as well. So someone to keep on your radar. You just got to keep your eyes and ears open for injury news to pop up. Derrick Rose, I really wanted him to play versus Cleveland, and he ended up getting ruled out. But it's just when the Kobe news dropped, so players weren't playing left and right. Can't blame him. But he's going to be good to go for this game, and I absolutely love D Rose here at 7,600. I played him in the last game he played versus Brooklyn, which I believe he was close to the same price, if maybe even the same exact price. I don't have the game log to pull it up. But Derrick Rose, I will play him here at 7,600, and if Andre Drummond happens to be out, he's pretty much going to be a lock button play for me, because 7,600 with Andre Drummond being out, I mean, his numbers would be absolutely elite. I ran the numbers with him off the court. D Rose has a 1.42 points per minute rate with a 33% usage rate with Andre Drummond, Blake Griffin, and Luke Kennard all off the court. So if you're going to give me someone with 1.42 points per minute, 33% usage rate, 7,600 with someone like D Rose's talent, I mean, the guy's been playing exceptionally well recently. He's had a streak of 20-point real-life points games in a row since January 5th. Guy's been playing out of his mind, looking like his old self. Not exactly like his old self, but remnants of his old self. And so D Rose, I like him quite a bit. And even if Andre Drummond plays, I still have interest, because on the season, he's at 1.22 points per minute with a 31.4% usage rate. But if you take just Blake Griffin and Luke Kennard off the court, he's over 1.3 points per minute with a near 36% usage rate. So Derrick Rose, he's a fantastic play either way, but if Andre Drummond's out, he'd become one of my locks on this slate. And I love the matchup versus Brooklyn. Like I said, they're a pretty good defensive squad, but they struggle versus point guards and centers, and Brooklyn is 26 versus point guards. So Derrick Rose, absolutely love him here. He scored 46 points in the last time versus Brooklyn. I think he's a very good play. CJ McCollum, So I'm kind of liking the secondary options better for the Trailblazers. Like I said when I was talking about Damian Lillard, I think Hassan Whiteside's a good play. CJ McCollum's a solid play, and Carmelo Anthony's a solid play, and they're all much cheaper, and you just get cheaper exposure to this game because we're not going to be able to fit in guys like James Harden and Damian Lillard together because as of right now, I'm not seeing a ton of value on this slate. But McCollum, I mean, you're just getting cheap exposure versus Houston. They rank, 27th? 27th versus shooting guard, so it's an excellent matchup for CJ McCollum. On the season, he's been about a point per minute, or 1.01 points per minute. Got him projected for 34 minutes, so I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility of him getting 35 to 40 fantasy points here, if not more. He's got a 25.7% usage rate on the season. He's just a really solid mid-range play on this slate, especially just getting exposure to this game environment. And it's also a pace-up spot for the Blazers. Marcus Morris, this is pretty much just wanting to pick on Memphis here. I didn't originally put him in here because I didn't like the price hike to 6,500. I like him when he's in that 5K range. 6,500 is a bit much, but he's been about a point per minute guy on the season. It's an elite matchup versus Memphis. They're struggling all aspects on defense. They play fast. It's a pace-up spot. They're 8th in pace of play this season. And on the year, he's at a 23.7% usage rate, 0.97 points per minute. Going to play near 35 minutes in this game. I think Marcus Morris is a pretty solid mid-range play because, a lot of these mid-range plays, they're not exciting, but we usually tend to play at least one or two of these guys every single night, so got to talk about them. Then on the same team, we have Elfrid Payton here. I got him projected for 32 minutes, and he's been over a point per minute guy this season, right around point per minute. And he does a little bit of everything in the stat sheet. He's got triple-double upside. He's going to get rebounds. He's going to get assists. He's not like a high scorer or anything. But he does a little bit of everything in the stat sheet, blocks, steals. So makes him a pretty safe play. Now, 6,300 is priced at rise. I believe he was 5,500 in the last game. Ended up having a pretty good game. But I love the spot here versus Memphis. They struggle mightily with guards. I believe they rank 18th versus point guards, 26th versus shooting guards. They're just pretty bad in all aspects on defense. So we can certainly look Elfrid Payton's way. I think the game, pace-up environment like this suits a guy like him pretty well. We got Melo here at 5,900. Just a good matchup versus Houston. I mean, they rank, 28th versus power forwards. The matchup's pristine here. And on the season, he's at a little bit less than a point per minute, 0.91 points per minute, 22.5% usage rate. It's mostly just getting exposure to this game, and he's below 6K. And, he's got 35, 40 fantasy point upside, so we could certainly look his way just to get exposure to this game. Now, I apologize. I'm not totally sure how to pronounce this guy's name. I've never heard his name pronounced. If I had to guess, I would say Jakob Poeltl. Is that close enough? I don't know. If someone knows how to pronounce his name, you can tell me in the comments below. But we'll just call him our friend Jacob here at 5,600. He absolutely smashed in the last game. I believe it was 3,400. LaMarcus Aldridge got rolled out versus Chicago. It was a pretty easy play. He's probably over 90% owned in cash games, if I remember correctly. Now, they did rise his price to 5,600. But with Aldridge out, he is at, I had it written down, 1.11 points per minute. Now, this is not a good matchup versus Utah. I will say that. They rank 10th versus center, so it's not like an absolutely runaway scary matchup. They're not top 3 or anything. They do rank 10th, and Rudy Gobert is, it's a pretty tough matchup. But 1.11 points per minute, if he's going to get close to 30 minutes, I mean, you kind of have to project him for about 30 fantasy points, which is not that bad at 5,600, so you can certainly look his way. He's got double-double upside. I would show you his numbers on here, but Basketball Reference, for some reason, does not have him listed, so I can't pull up his stats. So they're blank. But like I said, with Marcus Aldridge being off the court, 1.11 points per minute, so that's not that bad. 5,600, especially for a guy that's going to get close to 30 minutes, if not more. Myles Turner, he's listed as questionable for this game, but if he does end up being good to go, I got him for about 30 minutes versus Chicago, and he's at 5,400. And, Chicago, he absolutely crushed them last time he played them. Now, Sabonis was out in that game. I believe Brogdon was as well, so he's pretty much the only guy left. So, of course, he smashed. But both guys, Brogdon's questionable, but Sabonis is going to be playing, and also Victor Oladipo is going to be back, so it kind of throws a wrench in things. But if he's good to go, Chicago is just so bad defensively versus big men. Like I showed you guys with the DVB chart earlier, they rank 30th versus power forwards, 30th versus centers. And on the season, Myles Turner is at 0.92 points per minute. You can bump that up a little bit with Brogdon being off the court. But again, Oladipo is going to be back with a minutes restriction, so kind of muddies the waters a little bit. But it's an elite matchup versus Chicago, and we don't have a lot of value plays on this slate. So he's actually grading out as one of the better point per dollar options as of right now in projections. 5,400 for Myles Turner is not that bad. Hopefully I don't fall asleep by the end of this video. I got 4 hours of sleep last night, so I'm really tired as of right now. We're getting close to 1 a.m., but we should be able to make it to the end of this video. Just bear with me. Christian Wood, so he's got potential to be one of the better value plays on the entire slate. As of right now, you can see I only have him projected for about 16 minutes, but that's assuming Andre Drummond is in. If Andre Drummond's out, you could probably project him for about 25-ish minutes, and if he gets 25-ish minutes, he's going to grade out as a pretty good play, because when Andre Drummond is off the court, Christian Wood's at 1.26 points per minute with a 23% usage rate. That'll get the job done at 4,500. And Brooklyn does struggle with big men. It's a pace-up spot. Christian Wood, very good on a point per minute basis. We can certainly look his way in all formats. If Andre Drummond happens to be out, he'd probably be close to a core play for me if Drummond would happen to be out. We could also look Reggie Jackson's way if Drummond's out, just because it would open up everything on the court. If Drummond's in, probably don't have too much interest in Reggie Jackson. I only got him projected for about 21 minutes here. We know the minutes are going to be limited for him, but he's been pretty good on a point per minute basis this season. If you look at the numbers, he's at 1.16 points per minute with a 26% usage rate. Now, again, the minutes are going to be limited, but he's been pretty efficient while on the court. And if Drummond happens to be off, it's a very, very, very small sample size, but he is at a 33% usage rate and 1.42 points per minute. I think it's only like a 40-minute sample size, so it's not really something we can use too heavily, but he's been very good. So Reggie Jackson, someone to keep on your radar if Andre Drummond happens to miss this game. And then Murray, he comes in at 4,300. He's going to be the last guy we're going to talk about. I really do not like playing Murray unless there's an injury to one of the guards on the Spurs. I almost said Chicago. But because his minutes are a little bit sporadic. He's never really going to get over 30 minutes. And he's going to go anywhere from like 22 to 28 minutes. And 20 minutes is like more for lucky. If he gets 30, you're just jumping out of your seat. But I just conservatively, I got him for 26 right here. And he's at a price point, man. He's just really, really cheap. 4,300. The matchup is not good versus Utah. But with LaMarcus Aldridge off the court, Murray is at 1.18 points per minute. And that'll get the job done at 4,300 if you're going to see 25-plus minutes. On the season, he's pretty close to that, actually. He's at 1.08 points per minute, so he gets a 0.1 boost, which is actually not that bad. And, if he gets 26 minutes, he's got 20% usage rate. I think he'll pay off his 4,300 price tag. But as of right now, that's the lowest I would go. Not a lot of, just dirt cheap value plays like we've had recently. Not like last night with the Bucks, for sure. We had a ton of value plays. And then we had the Rockets value plays the one night, which most of those guys actually didn't end up working out. A couple of the mid-range guys, though, did for sure. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this player pool. And as always, you guys know I got to talk about the sponsor, OverlayDFS.com. So we'll go over there really quick. So, guys, if you've been watching, you guys know what this is already. But if you're new to the channel, this is OverlayDFS.com. It's a more casual DFS website. There's no salary constrictions to building lineups. There's no shark-infested waters here with guys like Chipotle. You guys get the idea of who I'm talking about, Papa Gates, whatever. But OverlayDFS.com, I would not recommend this to you guys if I didn't play it myself. I pretty much show you guys every single night that I play, and I do really enjoy playing over here. It's just a really nice supplement, and I play DraftKings every night, but it's nice to supplement it with a more casual website like OverlayDFS.com, a little bit more laid back. You're not dealing with shark-infested waters, and very fun, simple, easy to use website. It's as simple as it sounds when I'm going to say this. It's a pick'em website. If you think Chris Middleton was going to outscore Eric Bledsoe tonight, you pick Chris Middleton. If you thought Bradley Beal was going to outscore Kemba Walker, you picked Bradley Beal. If you thought Love was going to outscore Lonzo, you picked Kevin Love. It's as simple as that. And if you only pick 12, they give you a list of close to 20, I believe. I'm not sure exactly the exact number, but you just pick 12 of your favorite matchups, the ones you think you get the biggest edges on. And if you need help picking, you can use my projections. So that's what I use every single night. I've been having a lot of success here over on OverlayDFS.com. But as you can see, I finished 5th, so I got into the money again. This was a $22 double deuce contest. And if you happen to finish in the top 10% of the contest, you win 9x your money. So this was the $22 double deuce contest. I won 9x, that's $180, and they're a legit website. They pay you out quick. And I'm not just talking back into your account balance on the website. I'm talking about money into your bank account very, very quick. Like last night, I withdrew it, I want to say about 12:30 a.m. It was in my bank account by like 2:30 in the morning, the same day. So they pay you out very quick. I'm not saying it's going to be that quick every single time, but they do pay you out quick. It's a legit website. They got some good people over there. And they're also, if you go 12-0 on your picks, it's not easy to do, but if you happen to go 12-0 on your picks, I've been very close a couple of times. I went 10-2 the one time. Very, very close. You can win over $7,500 in the jackpot. It's legit. You'll get your money. As you can see, the prize is up to $7,480 as of right now, and by tomorrow, I'm going to assume that's going to be over $7,500. So if you happen to win the jackpot in the Double Deuce contest, you can win near $8,000. It's as simple as that. You just pick whoever you think is going to score the most fantasy points. It's very simple to understand. I mean, I can't describe it any more easier than I am right now. Head over to overlaydfs.com. There's no promo code, or I don't have like a link, or you don't have to tell them that I sent you or whatever. You just sign up and you play and you have fun. And they're also running a Slump Buster promo. And I've been saying it wrong. I've been saying 20 days in a row. If you happen to lose, they will pay you back every single dollar that you lost. It's actually just 20 days total. So if you lose 20 days total in a row, so that's like if you play 1 day a week for 20 weeks straight, they will refund every single dollar you deposited. So they're pretty much daring you guys to lose. So check it out. OverlayDFS.com, very fun website to play on. They're legit. It's fun. Check it out. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. I hope it was helpful. If it was, remember to leave a like. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Really helps me out. Really appreciate it. You can also follow me on Twitter at ChrisParnell16. And I got to get some sleep. I'm so tired. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Check out Patreon if you haven't already. Follow me on the socials, and you guys get the idea.